Hey, this is Kirk.
And this is Byrd. It's the Kirk and Byrd Show. And we are joined today by Prince William County legend, ODU, Woodbridge. He covers all the bases for us, 703 and a 757. Thank you for joining us, Coach Brion Dunlap of Claflin University. Thanks for joining us, dog.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, man. Like I said, you are definitely a legend, man, from Prince William County. People, I heard about you, when I was at VCU. I heard about you just, because of the battles with Iverson. And then I know because you coach with one of my homeboys, Milan Brown. So we just want other people to know a little bit more about you. And I personally want to get to know more about you. Like I said, I think I reffed some of your games when you were coaching at Woodbridge. So this is a good chance for us to get to know each other and let our audience know about you. Again, thanks for joining us, bro.
Again, thanks for having me.
All right. We're excited, Brion, because we talked about before we started recording, all the cross section. We love telling stories. We like having fun, so you can loosen up. Everybody check us out, the Kirk and Byrd Show on YouTube, or just Google the Kirk and Byrd. You'll be able to, if you ever want to listen to us in the car or anything like that, we got some great episodes out there. So Brion played his high school ball and was in the first Woodbridge Hall of Fame. And Woodbridge is a great high school in a great district. We don't necessarily go by those districts anymore, but Brion, you came out in 94, and 94 was a spectacular year for basketball. I was telling you, there was Iverson, that Sports Illustrated, there was Iverson, Ray Allen, Felipe Lopez, Chris Herron, bunch of great basketball players. And now you're the head coach at Claflin, which is a CIAA school, and us both being from Hampton, we know all about the CIAA. Exactly. It's still a party in Charlotte, but not quite like it was back up in the day. So we just want to, why don't we just start off, Coach, with you just made a big change. You're down in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and that area is growing like crazy.
The Big O. It is growing.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about, I know you're excited because you're going to be practicing soon. You probably met your players, and tell us a little bit about where you are now, and then let's just have some fun talking about ODU basketball and high school basketball.
Well, I've been blessed. Basketball has taken me a lot of different places. Funny story about being here at Claflin. When I coached in Winston for a year, we actually had played South Carolina State in a scrimmage. Mm-hmm. So South Carolina State and Claflin are next door to each other. So when we came on the visit for the scrimmage, I'm like, South Carolina State's pretty big. And I had known of his past with football and things. I was pretty big, not knowing that Claflin was next door. So that same season, we actually had a regular season non-conference game at Claflin. So we come down to Claflin to play, and I'm seeing the university. I'm like, Claflin's a pretty big school, not knowing that South Carolina State was right next door. So when I came down to for my campus interview, I was being shown around the campus and things of that nature, and I was like, "Is that part of the school?" They were like, "Nah, that's South Carolina State, and they're just separated by a gate." So, so that was a history lesson in myself, knowing that I'm next door to both schools in the same year, and then I come down and I'm now the head coach of the university. So I'm blessed. It's been an honor thus far. Got to meet some of our players. We have great administration here that are supportive, and they want to be successful. And I think we got some guys that are very hungry and want to be able to showcase what they can do in the CIAA this upcoming year and years to come, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Coach, so you're there at Claflin. Let's go back a little bit to some. We know you've been coaching on the college level for a while, but I do want to go back to those years in growing up in Woodbridge. Like I said, I heard about you, down in Hampton because of the things you were doing at Woodbridge. But tell me, how did you growing up? Had you always lived in Woodbridge? I know it's a transient area, so some people are military, but did you grow up playing youth sports? And is basketball the only sport you played? Did you ever play with Sean Scales?
Yeah, Sean's my guy. Sean was an older brother to me. So I was born actually in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then my mother and I, we moved to Northern Virginia when I was around 5 years old. So then ended up going to Woodbridge High School. Funny stories. I wanted to go to Garfield. I didn't want to go to Woodbridge. So I went to Saunders Middle School, and a lot of the kids that were at Saunders went to Garfield, and they also ended up going to Hilton when Hilton was built. But they were going to Garfield. So in 7th and 8th grade, with me going to Saunders, and one of my best friends at the time that was there at Saunders with me, his older brother went to Garfield. So we went to the Garfield basketball games and the football games, and and I had known who Coach Bell was. And at that time, I believe Coach Robinson had just gotten into the area and was a new coach. And I didn't know much about Woodbridge. Garfield had won championships. So that's where I wanted to go to school. And then where we lived, though, we lived in Woodbridge District, and I ended up going to Woodbridge. I played football and basketball there. I grew up playing football and basketball, not only in Woodbridge area, but also in Manassas, because my mom was a school teacher at Baldwin Elementary in Manassas.
Okay.
So that's where I went to elementary school. So I started playing football, youth league football up there, played youth league basketball up there, actually played baseball all in the greater Manassas area. And then I ended up playing all my middle school and high school career in the Woodbridge area in Prince William County. So yeah, I've done football, basketball, baseball, track, tried to do a little bit of everything just to stay involved and be in athletics. I just love to play sports.
Yeah.
And then my mom had the rule too, either you play sports or you go to work. So I figured playing sports would be better.
Yep. I'm saying one. Yeah. Oh,
Brion, what was the AAU scene like? Because AAU was going by, 94, was not like it was now.
Yeah.
But, Iverson was a big story in high school because he was the number one player, and AAU was big. What was the AAU scene in Northern Virginia, whether it be Prince William County or DC? What was that like?
Well, I played with the Prince William Pacers, so we were kind of a smaller AAU team in the Prince William area. We competed, and then going into my junior summer, going into my senior year, I played with DC players out of DC. Yep. So we traveled. We were out in Vegas playing in Nike. We played in things in California, played out in Philly, New Jersey. So that was my first big introduction to like travel AAU basketball scene and playing against other people. We were out in Vegas, I believe. We played against Tony Gonzalez.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was a big, strong boy even back then. I'm like, who is this dude? And they were like, well, he's probably going to be one of the top tight ends in the country. I'm like, good. He was just, and then we played back then, the one thing too, 19 and under basketball, AAU basketball was big. It's not as much anymore. So we played in the national tournament down in Winston-Salem at Wake Forest. Mm-hmm. We had played against Team Georgia. Ron Mercer was playing for a team down there out of Tennessee. So it was a bunch of high level guys playing in that arena as well. So, but back then I think DC Assault was still, they were the main AAU program coming out of the DC area. But you knew about Boo, and Richmond Metro was a big AAU program during that time as well.
Yep.
So those were the main teams, DC Assault, Boo in the 7-5, and then in the Richmond area was Richmond Metro. And then you also had the Roanoke Hawks out of Roanoke. Like they had some good players.
Oh yeah.
That had went through that program as well. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Curtis Staples played there for a short stint. Wow. So yeah, it was a lot of talented players throughout the state. And like I said, my first introduction to the whole travel piece was when I played with DC players and doing that.
Okay. So you played AAU. How did your transition when in playing high school basketball and football in Woodbridge? Tell us about that. You mentioned, Sean Scales played football at Virginia Tech with my brother, and he was a great athlete. Like my brother, among great athletes at Virginia Tech, my brother often says that Sean was probably one of the greatest.
Yeah, Sean was unreal. At 5. I'd give him 5'11" on a good day, but Sean he was a workaholic. He worked hard, man, and he basketball was came easy to him because he was so gifted athletically. But I mean, you talking about football, like his feet were so good. Like he was a ballerina on the field, like just his movement, his body movement, and just making plays happen. And he wasn't the fastest, but his quickness and his shiftiness allowed him to get to where he needed to get to. And Sean, like I said, was a big brother to me. Sean lived with me for like a year, during high school.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was good for us to be together and have that relationship and have that big brother, because I'm the oldest between my brother and myself. I'm the oldest. So, having someone like Sean was a huge ordeal for me. And then I got to pick his brain and we talked hoop and talk about football. And, we talked about a lot of different things about life, and he helped me a lot in my growth as a youngster, just because Sean, everybody loved Sean. Like he was so personable, so mannerable and engaging, and kind of, he kind of taught me a little bit how to be the man, so to speak, when his class and stuff, when they all left out. So that helped me greatly. I was very appreciative of that.
Okay.
When did you realize that you could play college ball? Because you played at a very high level.
Yeah, I would probably say my freshman year in high school. My freshman year in high school, I didn't want to play varsity basketball. And I don't know if it had to do with I got hit a little bit too hard playing varsity football as a freshman, but I remember Coach Robinson having a conversation with me, and we were sitting in the lobby, and he says to me, he was like, and it was an article that just came out. I think Coach K had talked about Grant Hill and being a freshman and the expectations of being on a high caliber program, being a freshman, so on and so forth. So Coach had asked me, he was like, would you rather be on JV and be a star, or be on varsity and have a chance to play here and there? I was like, no question, I won't be on JV and be a star.
That was me.
So Coach was like, if you're on varsity, you're gonna play. So I'm not thinking how much or anything like that. So football season ended. I mean, it was a tough ending for us. We had lost in the playoffs to Garfield. They actually ended up winning the state championship, so it wasn't that bad. Right. And the next day after we had lost, I'm at JV practice a Saturday morning, and I was happy. Nobody was there really. Our head coach at the time, Coach Beatty, he and I, we played a little one-on-one, and I'll admit he beat me. So he never played me again, so I can never get my revenge back on him, right? But so he wins. So then Monday comes around, I go to JV practice again. And Coach Beatty was like, why are you here? What do you mean? He was like, you got varsity practice tonight. I was like, Coach, man, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go to varsity. So I ended up playing on varsity. I didn't start the first game. I came in at the 6-minute mark in the first quarter, and then I didn't come out after that. So after that, I had a pretty good feeling that I could play with the older guys, and I always had the confidence. So it was just, that was kind of then. That was kind of like my moment. And then I was never one to shy away from being a leader. So there was times in practice that Coach allowed me to be vocal, and the guys responded to me. I guess, it was a mutual respect thing, and I think that kind of like just continue to push me in the forward direction and know I could play on that level.
Okay. So, quick question for you.
Go ahead.
I always tell people when we do this, we don't have producers. We don't have people in our ear. So, when we try to do hand signals. No, but I was just going to ask you. I want to make the point, because for your players that you're coaching now, and you're 7 years younger than us, so you're 46 or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. I'll be 46 in October, yeah.
Right, but to play varsity in the 9th grade back in the day, you had to and if you contributed, you were really good. Now you've got 6U and 8U, and these guys honestly are like ready to play pro basketball in 11th grade. So if your players, if you need to tell them that you played varsity and played significantly, and that's a big deal. So, I think that's important. So
yeah, I was 13. I was 13 years old.
Okay.
Wow. I was a young buck. in high school and throughout college. So I was 13 starting football varsity, and then I turned 14 during the basketball season to start.
Yeah. You got one of those, you're young. When you got an early birthday?
Late October.
Yeah,
October.
Oh, okay,
so,
October. I got you.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
And then the preschool that I had went to when I was in North Carolina, like I said, my mom's in education, had prepared me for kindergarten. So I skipped kindergarten. So that's why I was in the class. So,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, man, you should have reclassed, bro.
I know, right? what I know now.
So my mom, it was I have a November birthday, November 4th, but folks, like in the October, I think the cutoff might have been October 31st or whatever, but the October kids went ahead, and I was, a year behind. And man, it was a lot because I had a friend in October, but they were class of 86. I was 87. But one of the things we learned is that like sometimes that extra year will help, whether it's sports or maturity. But it sounds like you already were there. Like, what would you attribute that to? Was your mom into sports? How did you, I don't know if you said your mom was a single mom. My mom was a single mom, mm-hmm. and she had two boys, and I was the oldest. Yep. And I know for me being the oldest, I had to kind of take a leadership role. Nobody told me to do it, but it was just something that kind of came about. And my brother was 2 years younger than me, and he's doing great. But I thought he was the craziest young little brother. But what's your story on that? So
my mom is one of four, but she's the only girl. So she had three brothers, and her brothers made her tough, But she's so when she and I left North Carolina, she had my mom and my dad divorced. So then we had moved to Virginia. So it was just she and I for a while until she had to get remarried, and then she had my brother. So then basically though, for the most part, she just raised my brother, myself. But I'll say this, she was good at helping others contribute to the raising of the village. It takes a village, with our coaches and even our teammates or our teammates' parents, but everybody was just a part of our growth. The one thing that was a blessing for me, I'll say, even to go back to, like I said, with Sean, I was always around older people on the team, 2 and 3 years ahead of me. Even my 8th grade year, going into my 9th grade year, I played varsity summer league down at the Flint Hill Summer League. So I played against Greg Williams and, those guys. And so it was baptism by fire a little bit, but those guys took me underneath my wing and they just, brought me along. So it was easier for me to be around and being until my mother got remarried, being the only child during that time, mm-hmm. when they would have functions and stuff, my cousins were older than I was. So, I was around older people then as well. Yeah. So it was a little bit of I learned how, I guess, to be a little bit more mature at a younger age with certain things. And especially when it came to sports, because my mother was such an educator and education was so big in my family that I was a student of the game in any game that I played. And I felt that I didn't feel like I was the most gifted athletically, but I needed to do that from a mental standpoint so I got a chance to be successful. And that's what I've always kind of carried with me. And I try to tell my players, my kids as well, like learn the game, be a student of the game and appreciate it. And it'll make you faster, make you better for sure.
No doubt.
Where were the spots like down in Woodbridge? Like everybody has spots, where you play basketball. And I realized AAU had gotten, but everybody still has a community center or, mm-hmm. Whatever. Where were the spots down in Woodbridge?
Well, truth be told, the spot was Woodbridge High School.
Okay.
Mike Wilson, who's like a big brother to me, he's one of Othell Wilson's brothers.
Yeah, Othell.
Mike would open up the gym, and it was a badge of honor if you got invited, if you were in high school, if you got invited to Sunday morning runs. No. And because that was like Othell was going to be there, Derek Sims, like all the old head guys that played in college or played professionally or whatever. And if you got invited there, that was like a rite of passage. Like they knew you could play. And that goes back to early, like you said, Kirk, too. What else made me think that I could play on the collegiate level? When they invited me to that Sunday bump. that was a huge thing. Like, cause it would only be like 2 or 3 high school kids there. Everybody else had been like, those grown men and stuff like that. So then, that was one of the places. We used to have Antietam courts. We used to go play there.
Oh yeah.
You go down to Veterans Park, you go play there. We would have our 5 that we would take in high school and go play at different places throughout the area, just to get different type of bump outside. We wanted to go wherever the bump was. So that's what we try to do. But Woodbridge High School on a Sunday, that was the place to be.
Yeah.
Hey, Kirk, Kirk, hold on. Where would you say the place was in Hampton where we grew up? Because I'll tell you where it was on my side of Hampton. Where was it for y'all?
Yeah.
Oh, you just didn't know because nobody invited you.
All right. So if you lived towards the beach, it was the North Phoebus Community Center. And
North Phoebus,
very, very, very full of talent, and you had to earn your way on the court. In the downtown Hampton area, it was the old Hampton Community Center, which they tore down. And then let me think. When you start
on my side of town, I'm gonna tell you where it was. It was and it was Aberdeen Elementary, the outdoor court. That's where Chuck. All right, Chuck played youth football. That's what. But look, I remember as a kid, like if you went to Aberdeen, you couldn't get on the court if you didn't have mad game. The JV games were played over at Mallory Elementary. That's where I was. But it was like grown men was balling at Aberdeen. And so I was just scared. Like I'd be there just watching, but I didn't even want to get run. But Chuck could play at Aberdeen in middle school, man. Like he was right there and he was balling with him. So that was the place Chuck was killing it, man. And then later on, when you go home, you could always find Chuck at Davis middle school now, but Davis Middle School, we would meet outside and play there. And the other place, everybody was supposed to get Langley. I was going to say Langley.
Yeah.
Everybody ain't have an ID, but they could get on. I don't know how. I played with Chuck at Langley a couple of times.
That was like going to Quantico. We played down in Quantico too. But you had to know you was gonna get roughed up going to Quantico and play there.
Hey, so Brion, let me say this. First of all, let me. Kirk actually has game. Kirk was an athlete. He played basketball, ran cross country, and all region and tennis. But he played at Phoebus. He was the only white dude on the team, so he had to have some game.
He did. Right? He had to.
So if you know Phoebus, you had to have some game. He didn't get that much time, but he was on the squad. So he got game.
Yeah.
And then the thing I was going to say is, oh wow. Oh well. Anyway, I can't remember now, but yeah. So I wanted to touch a little bit on that, like because Kirk brought up where you balled. But so you get to high school, and I bring up Chuck because a memorable thing happened in '94. Tell us about your senior year and your run to states and how that all played out.
Well, it was actually our junior year.
Oh, your junior year. That's right. That's right. Because Chuck would have graduated in '94. That's right. It was '93.
Potomac, I believe, won in '94, right?
'94. Yes.
Yep.
No. Oh, we lost my junior year.
Bethel won it '93.
Yeah. So Potomac actually won '95.
Okay.
They won in '95.
Yeah. So y'all were '93 against Chuck.
We were '93, and
Rutland. Yeah.
We were. Shoot, for a good part of the year, we were number one team in the state. We had started the year 20-0. I think we lost our first game, our 21st game. I think we lost to Garfield. So we knew we had a good team, but we were, we weren't overly athletic. Like we were just good basketball players. We were well coached. Damian Keys was big for us. He was our quote unquote post player at 6'4", but he could stretch the floor and shoot it. Marcus Diggs he probably had some of the best anticipation skills that I've ever seen on a person. One game he had a quadruple double in a year, and he had, I I know it was double figure points, rebounds, assists, and steals that he had gotten in the game that we had played one time during that season. That run was great because we had to beat Joey Beard. And that team in the state quarterfinals at Robinson High School. Because Robinson always tells a story that we were down 9 and we had called timeout. And I said to coach, I said, "Don't worry, I got you." I said, "I got you." And I'd probably made 1 3 all year, probably taken maybe 5. And I hit 3 in a row to tie the game up. And then, we ended up going to overtime, winning the game then. And then we played Chuck and them and T-Rut and my man Dante Travis in the semifinals. I'd actually had turf toe.
I heard. That's right.
So I had taken a cortisone shot earlier that day. Our game was later in the evening. And so the shot wore off at halftime. So we're up at that point, I think like 17 at the half. And Keys had 24 in the first half. He was killing. And I'm sitting in there with a bag of ice on my toe. And coach is like, "You good?" I said, "Coach, I don't know if I can go. I don't know. Like my foot is hurting. I don't know if I can go." He goes, "Well, if you're not leaving, I'm not leaving." Right? So I was like, "All right, coach, man, let's go." So, kudos to Chuck and T. Rutland. They made a great comeback. So now I remember Chuck made a big 3 to tie it up. Like he shot it from like the logo at the UVA sign. And we were in a triangle in 2. And my teammate, Spencer Mallett, loved him to death. I kept telling Spencer, I was like, "Don't back up. He's going to shoot it. He's going to shoot it. Don't back up." And I had watched enough film of him and seen him enough. And he comes across half court and Spence kept backing up and he rose up, knocked it down, tied it up. And the place went crazy. It was so loud in there.
Yeah.
And then I got the ball around 5-6 seconds left and I drove it and I got fouled. So I go down and I cramped up in both my calves. So it's tie game, 2 shots. But earlier in that preseason and football season, I actually dehydrated and went to full body cramps and had to go to the hospital. So our trainer was very aware of that. And when I went down, she came on the court so quick. I was so upset, but I know she had to do her job. And then, we had a guy come off the bench and attempt 2 free throws and missed them both, and then we ended up losing in overtime. Wow. It was such a heartbreaker because I remember my sophomore year, we were one of the better teams in the state. We lost in the regional semis, and Coach Robinson said at the end of the bench, I was in tears. He was like, before you're out of here, you're going to take us to a state championship. And that was kind of like my goal for football and basketball. I came up short in that piece, but that was my thing. And that year we're playing them and we're matched up against them. And I'm like, okay, now we're going to put Woodbridge on the map. We got a chance to beat one of the top players in the country, another one of the top players in the state. And, we got a chance to do something. And unfortunately, I cramped up. So, so I'm big on my players always about hydrate.
Brion, was that the state championship?
Is it? Well, it's funny story with that.
No, that was the state championship.
And so my teammate in college, EJ Sherrod, played for John Marshall. And they played in the semifinal game before us. And I always tease them. I say, Iverson and I, we played for the state championship. Like we both knew whoever won that game was gonna win the championship. So AJ and I, we used to always laugh about that and talk about that.
So they played Marshall. They played Marshall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He played John Marshall.
No, that your game, I've seen it a ton of times because that's the one people play on YouTube and it's always shared. It's that game. Nobody even worked like that was a state. And like, for years, I thought that was a state championship. That's all everybody talked about. Yep. So you from there, you have. How was your senior year?
Senior year was good. We started off same thing. We were top team, one of the top teams in the state. We played a little differently that year. I remember that summer. Like I said, I had played with DC players that summer, so I had a different, swag about myself and how I was moving a little bit that summer. I was really on trying to get buckets and trying to score. trying to, add to my game in different ways. And I remember we were going to be a little bit more undersized. So coach wanted us to spread the floor a little bit more. We was going to play more four guards and shoot. He wanted to shoot threes. Like he was like, we're going to try to attempt 25 to 30 threes a game. That was kind of like our goal. And we had the personnel to do it. We ended up losing to a really good William Fleming team in the regional semis. Tough game. We ended up losing to them. So that's how it ended. But it was a good run. We just came up a little short. Going down to play down William Fleming is tough.
Yeah,
playing in those environments
so
back
much
then was
talent.
tough. And the crowd was up on you. And I remember that game. We were playing them, and matter of fact, actually, this is going back to my junior year. We're playing them, and Marcus Diggs had picked up his third foul in the first half. And coach didn't want to take him out. He was only playing like 5 or 6 dudes at that time. He was pulling a Hubert Davis. But he wants to leave Marcus in the game. So no shot clock. We held the ball for 6 minutes and like 18 seconds in the second quarter. And then we ended up scoring, and we went up at the end of the half. Like it was like score was like 13-12. I remember sitting there with Spencer. We're talking about our English assignment that we have to do to turn in next week. It was crazy. But then we ended up playing. That was a regional championship. Back then, the regional championship, even though neither one team was regional champion, but the runner-up still went to the states.
Right.
So then, like I said, my senior, we ended up losing to them in the regional semifinals.
Right.
So it was tough. But I learned a lot, and that was a year that, like I said, that I felt that I became a better leader, a stronger leader, because I was just looked upon differently at that point. Even though I was a captain all the way through from my sophomore year up, it was just I'm the end now. I'm the senior, or one of the seniors, as opposed to being a sophomore and a junior and being an underclassman. So it helped me a lot in what was to come for my next phase going into college, for sure.
I want to ask you a couple things. Talk about the best players that you played with, what in high school, as well as the AAU circuit, and against. I'd love to hear about that, because Russ and I were early in our careers. There was no social media yet.
Right.
I wasn't going and buying Street and Smith like I used to. So it's kind of a blind spot for me. So like when you played for DC, you had to have played with some really good ball players.
Yeah. Kelly Taylor. He was out of DC.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Dink Peters, I played with him. He was out of DC. Kobe
he was
Turner.
Potomac in Oxon Hill.
Yep, played with Kobe Turner as well. Kobe was really good.
I watched him play Kenner League. Yeah.
Yeah. Tony Parham. Joe Childress. Louis Bullock. Like we were all on the same teams.
Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so we played with some really good guys on that. In high school, Keys was really good. Sean Scales, Cornell Smith, those guys were really good. Chad Anderson, he was my freshman year. Chad was the guy at Woodbridge. Chad was a big wing that could score. I know if somebody sees this, they're gonna be upset with me. I left them out. So, but those were the guys that kind of I knew I had to feed the ball to, so they could score. And then Torrey Farrington, one of my best friends. Did you
play against Delonte Hill? Lonnie Hill, did you know him?
No, I did not play against Delonte, but I
know he's a little younger than you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't play Delonte, but and then at AAU, I played against Chuck at AAU as well. Played against T. Rutland. Played against like I said, Tony Gonzalez. Kareem Reed out of New York. He played for Riverside Church. He was really good. He was really good. Felipe Lopez, played against him.
Where was Ray Allen from? He was from the north.
He's from South Carolina.
Oh, Ray Allen's from South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because those early 90s, man, they had really good basketball players. I mean, what I can remember is the kids that were feeding into Duke
Yep.
North Carolina, not for the runs, but like right after that, after Leitner, and then those guys won, but those next kids coming in were real good. Did y'all go out west? You say you went to Vegas?
We're in Vegas it was a Nike tournament out there, and then we were in California as well for a tournament out there that we had played in. Yeah. So yeah, it was fun just to, I was 16, 17 years old at that time, just going out there and being in that environment and seeing so many good players, and just seeing them up close and personal. It's one thing, like you said, not a lot of social media or anything back there, but you hear word of mouth. The truth be told, Damian Keys, my teammate from Woodbridge, was the first person to say anything to me ever about Allen Iverson, because Damian had people that was from Newport News, and Damian just called him Bubba Chuck. And we were like, who's Bubba Chuck?
Yep.
But he was the first person. I think that was my sophomore year that he had first mentioned him. Then, come full circle, we playing him in the state semifinal championship game the year after that. So, and then I had heard him from a football standpoint though too, because he played quarterback, and it's funny because Chuck did a lot of things on the football field that kind of like Sean Skills did. With punt returns and things of that nature. So I had known him more so from a football standpoint, like I said, other than Keys mentioning him my sophomore year.
Yeah. So I want to transition, but I want to tell a quick story. I believe the first time that I heard of him was 91. That was the year we got out Rusty. And he was that good that it was word of mouth. And my high school roommate, or my college roommate, his dad was a basketball official on the peninsula. And I went down there for his 50th birthday. And I think it was the summer of 92. It was the summer of 92. And these guys are like, all these refs are coming in, and they start talking about this Allen Iverson team, And I remember one guy, I did an interview with another podcast I had with Boo Williams. Boo Williams said the best high school basketball player he's ever seen is Kenny Williams, Riverside Church. Same for me. Never seen anybody better. But the guy walked up and said, he's better than Kenny Anderson. He can shoot better. And I was like, what? And it was just like, that was where the aura started. So, Rusty, I want to let you go, but maybe we'll transition into, we got a lot of friends that ODU fans.
Well, that's where I was going.
Recruitment. Yeah.
What were some of the schools that were recruiting you, and why didn't VCU get you, bro?
So VCU actually did not recruit me. They were one who did not. Richmond did, Old Dominion, Virginia Tech, Marshall, Wake Forest, a little bit UVA, but VCU did not. And so
was that Sonny Smith? Was Sonny Smith our coach then, or had what's his name come in from Duke? Why can't I think of Capel?
No. Capel was after. He was after.
Okay.
So
okay.
Thing was, I wanted to play both in college, football and basketball. And so my mother was like, well, you got to let it be known to the coaches, like you want to do both. And of the basically the 5 schools that came in for a home visit, Old Dominion was the only one that didn't have football at the time.
That's right.
So I remember Coach Purnell and staff had come up, and I had a football game the night before on a Friday night, and they were playing at Hilton High School, and I get hit, late hit, so I'm out. I'm out. All I remember is it was a bad read on my part. I think the ball was tipped. It was a pick, and then I'm out. And then the next thing I know, my mom's standing over top of me, and I'm like, get off the field. Why are you on the field? Right? She says to the trainer, she goes, oh, he's all right. So then she walks back in the stands. Now it's 10,000 people at the game, and the staff that's recruiting me to go play Old Dominion is at the game, and I'm on the ground. So, times have changed, right? So we go back in the locker room, and Hilton was a newer school. So I got my spikes on, I slipped. So trainers thinks I'm still like concussed, woozy, and I'm, who knows, I might have been, who knows, but different time, right? So,
I definitely played with stars. I definitely played with stars.
So I'm ready. I'm ready to play, right? I'm ready to play halftime. I'm good. I had my little break, whatever. And when she saw me slip, we come out. So she sits me the first possession. It's our ball. Unfortunately, our quarterback, he threw a pick six. And I just threw my helmet. I was so upset. And I was able to go back in the game. So then the next day, I'm going on my visit to Old Dominion. And I'm down there on my visit. And probably, honest with you, it was probably the worst visit that I've had of other visits that I've gone to. But it was the visit I felt the most at home with the people that was around me. You know, Mike Jones, who became my roommate, who's now the associate head coach at Virginia Tech, used to be at the Mather. Odell Hodge.
Was Kevin Swan still there?
So Swan was, I came in after Swan. I was his heir apparent. So I actually met Swan on the visit though. And so I met Swan on the visit. And then I just felt comfortable. You know, I just felt comfortable around those guys, and you know, they made me feel at home, feel comfortable, and we didn't do nothing crazy, outrageous. Just hung out. You know, we just really just shot it, and you know, just talk ball and different things. I had told him about my football story, what happened the night before, but you know, it was just a cool environment, and then I kind of felt it like, all right, that's where I'm gonna go. You know, I knew, and I had actually committed before going into my senior year. So when I went there on a visit, it just solidified everything. Like I made the right choice. Like I was happy about my decision and who I was going to be playing with. And I felt, to be honest with you, you know, with them losing in the championship game the way they had lost the year before, with, you know, they called the timeout, JMU had no more timeouts, and Kuluko makes the three in the corner, and they end up losing the game. You know, and I had Odell was back, Petey was back, Mike was back. I knew we had some horses, and I was like, yeah, like that. I want to play an NCAA tournament, and these guys, they were just that close away. I know they're gonna have some hunger to get back. You know what I mean? So, and we ended up being fortunate enough to do that season.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's good stuff, man. So that's you played at ODU. You had a great career. I think you were a 4-year starter.
Yeah.
You played in the tournament.
All rookie, all CAA, and you probably. I just wanted to point that out because I know he made the CAA all rookie, and I'll let you go, Rusty. But that's one league, man. The Colonial has always been extremely strong, and all these people that think you got to go, you know, big time and all this. There's some great ball players out of there.
Yeah, yeah. I used to say, you know, during that time, the Colonial was kind of what you would think the Atlantic 10 is now. Yeah, you know, very comparable in the talent and the teams that was there. I mean, we had some dudes that came through that league that were really, really good, man. And you know, with it being the Commonwealth League and the Mid-Atlantic area and stuff like that, but it was some dudes that came through there. And I tell people, I know it's different, the dynamics have changed, but back then that was kind of the Atlantic 10. Like that's kind of what it was, you know.
No doubt. Yeah. You just missed Kendrick Warren, but Kendrick, man, that's my dog. We're going to try to get him on here. But it was a lot. You're right. I mean, and really a lot of those teams that were in the CAA are in the A10 now.
Yeah.
Like Mason, Richmond, you know, VCU, you know, and so now you guys you're moving to the Sunbelt. Because you were in Conference USA. Wow. Okay. All right. So now we know about your college. Let's talk about Claflin. Tell us about that, Coach.
Well, yeah. You know, I mean, it's like I said, it was a blessing to give me an opportunity to come down here and do what I've fallen in love with. You know, coaching was not what I wanted to do. My high school coach he threw me into the fire a little bit when I was coaching with him as an assistant. One day he left me and said he was going to scout, but he really had me run practice. So, and how the guys responded to me, that's why I fell in love with it. But, you Claflin is a blessing. Being a CIAA, one of the most prestigious conferences in the country, regardless of level. The CIAA tournament is. I was told from a friend of mine, the CIAA tournament generates one of the top amount of revenue for any conference tournament, no matter the level, for any division. And when I started thinking about it, I'm like, well, it is an event now. The entire time it's an event. And so
Brion,
I'm
just saying, so growing up, in Hampton, and all your teachers went to CIAA schools. Bruh, I said this before on another show. Like when the CIAA was at the Scope that week, and my parents, my dad went to A&T, my mom went to Virginia State, was my stepdad, but he was a PE teacher, and man, he would take me to those games. This is during the week. Bruh, they had more substitutes that week, and you go to the game, man, all your teachers be lit up, and they'd be like, "Hey, Rusty!" And my pops, we would go there. And I remember one time hanging with Charlie Brown in the CIAA, and he was my teacher at the time. It's like,
it's definitely an event, and I'm so excited to have the opportunity to be a part of it. Claflin, they were in the SIAC for a while, and they just actually the year when I was at Winston, 15-16, I believe Claflin came into the CIAA the following year, 16-17. So, I just trying to, build a culture here, lay a foundation, recruit high student athletes, high level student athletes, who want to see things and go about things that, this game will teach you a lot of things about life. But the main thing for us is understanding that it's bigger than you when you're a part of a team, and so that's the thing that we're going to try to do here. And, in the midst of that, win some basketball games, put some banners up, get some championships, that's the goal. But also make sure that these kids walk across the stage at the end of the day, whether it's 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, whatever it is, and get that paper and get that degree that we talk about all the time.
That is I was just looking. I'll let you go, Rusty. But that is a strong league, man.
Yeah,
really strong league.
Yeah.
It's a recruiting tool. That's a recruiting tool.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So, so I want to, you talked a little bit about Coach Robinson. Tell us a little bit about some of your mentors in the coaching game. Like, who are some? And we talked about it off camera, but with Milan and some others, but tell us about some of your mentors in the game. And I do want y'all to know that I actually reffed one of Brion's games back in the day. And he didn't take it easy on me. He didn't know. I knew who he was. Young buck, you just got out of college. Come on, man. I think I did a JV game one time, and then I did a varsity.
Oh, you mean it's him as a coach?
Yeah, he was a coach.
Yeah, I was coaching.
He was the head JV coach. And I'm like, Coach, you need to chill, bro. No, he was a great guy, good team, and I always love those Woodbridge games. But tell us about some of your mentors in the coaching field.
Well, definitely Coach Robinson. He was my high school coach. He's been an integral part of my growth in this profession, but also in life throughout. Milan Brown's been huge. I mean, he's been like a big brother to me. He was my assistant for 2 years at Old Dominion. And so when I started coaching in high school, and he was still coaching as an assistant, we had talked even before then that if he ever got a head coaching job, that I would go with him.
Right.
And I remember it was a Tuesday night, came home from a game. We had lost the game. I was a little upset, and I turned on the TV, and the news had that Coach Phelan was stepping down at Mount St. Mary's, and he was going to name Milan Brown as the new head coach. So I was waiting for that phone call, and sure enough, the next morning, Milan called and he told me he was getting the job. He was like, "What are you gonna do?" So I told you, I'm riding with you, and that was my introduction to college coaching. He's always been with me every step of the way, as well. One of my little league coaches, he's no longer with us, but Coach Plabon, he was very instrumental in just teaching me more and more about the game of basketball. I played. I remember playing in a youth league when I was younger, probably like 3rd or 4th grade, and we were co-ed. The league was co-ed. Our teams were co-ed, and
It's the Eastern Prince William.
Yeah, we played at Parkside Middle School. Yeah. So
yeah.
And I think some games may have been at Marstella as well, but we definitely played Parkside. And we had he told me how to not always put zip on the ball, and you got to know your teammates. And we had a big on our team that at that time was big, and I was like, he keeps dropping passes, coach. Like, I don't want to turn it over. Like, I didn't want to turn the ball over. He's like, listen, throw it at his nose. I was like, but if he don't catch it, I'm gonna hit him in his nose. He said, exactly. Or he gonna put his hands up, one or the other. And so I still have that rule to this day. And, you know, when I teach guards sometimes about post feeding, like you don't have to be all pinpoint. Throw it at their nose. Like, make them put their hands up so they can catch the basketball. So this is little things like that. And that actually helped me with football. Like learning how to play with touch, learn how to throw the ball with touch, just because of his words. And, you know, and like I said, Othell Wilson, Mike was big. Mike was he's like a big brother to me. And just, you know, a lot of those times when my mother had to be at work, whatever, and DC players, we were having practice at Coldfield House out in Maryland. Like, he would be the one to drive me and take me. And you know, that was huge for me. You know, just, I mean, my uncles too, just being there when I was younger, you know, just teaching me, you know, really kind of like be tough and it's okay to cry, things of that nature. So, you know, a lot of people along the way, and then I would even say my teammates too, you know, so because like I said, I play with a lot of older guys, and even though one of my teammates who doesn't get a lot of credit, his name is Ches DeBoers. He was a senior when I was a freshman at Woodbridge, and I actually took Chez's spot. And I know that was tough for him, but he never, for one moment, never did he ever allow it to affect our relationship, our friendship, our being teammates, none of that stuff. You know, he was huge for me. And I took that with me. Like that showed a lot for him to do that, especially at 17 years old. You know, you think you're gonna be a starting point guard and you get your spot taken. But, you know, he helped us in games because as a freshman, I had my bad games and he was right there to pick us up. So all in all, you know, and you know, I guess my biggest mentor is my mother. You know, she's shown the way for me so many different ways, and has you know, taught me so many different things. And I take a lot of teachings that I take from house and bring it to coaching. I know that's one thing that Milan used to always say, that, you know, that Coach Charlie Brown would do. You know, and I have a thing that he said to me that I will always use and never forget. He said to me one time, Coach Charlie Brown said, Brion, everybody wants discipline. It's just a matter of who's going to give it to them. And that has never left me. Yeah. And I will always stay with me forever. You know, just so those little things like that I've learned from different people and been around, like, they've all helped cultivate me and shape me to who I am today.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Kirk, you want to transition us into some of those other things that we can learn as we start to wind this down. Kirk, you want to hit them with a couple of questions? I do want to say this, Brion. You're down there at Claflin now, and I didn't realize it was that close to South Carolina State. But I do want to let you know, one of my boys is Pastor Todd Brown. He's the head pastor at New Mount Zion Baptist Church. Okay. It's right across the street from the campuses.
Okay.
But that's my dog. He's the pastor. He went down there back in 2016. But we played football. He played football at Johnson C. Smith, and then up here we played for a number of years, dominating North Virginia in flag football. And that's my dude, man. So I'm telling you, please, I don't know if you have a church yet, but the brother can speak, but he's also just down to earth. He pastored the church up here. And he actually just flew this past weekend to do the anniversary sermon for another friend of ours who was on our show, Pastor Weaver Blondin. He played basketball at UDC, and it was a great. He won a national championship at UDC. But Todd just spoke at his service yesterday. But man, you got to run by there, say what's up to Pastor Brown, because he will take care of you down there, dog.
I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, and you know, something else I didn't realize where you guys were located, but you know this. Charleston's a hotbed for basketball. There are a lot of great basketball players. You got a nice recruiting area, especially
we're
CIAA.
We're an hour from Charleston.
Right.
We're about 2.5 from Myrtle Beach, 2:15 from Charlotte, 45 from Columbia, about an hour and a half from Augusta. We're in a good central location, being to get to some really good basketball players in this surrounding area that we can introduce definitely to the CIAA and definitely to Claflin University, so they can become a Panther and help us win some championships.
Right. Yeah.
Coach, we're going to check you out, man. We're going to look at your schedule, see if we can. I don't know. We'll see if you play at Bowie or if I can check you out at Virginia State or Union.
Yeah, we do.
We'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
Play at Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's some other Virginia States. So, we always like to switch it up a little bit. So, let's do some random stuff.
All right.
So, Rusty and I are music men. I think I might be more into music than you, and I don't mean that as anything.
No, I used to, but now I'm in
the better athlete debate. We're 40 years too late for that. I've already had a heart attack, but we always talk about this because I love talking about music. And I mentioned this. I'm gonna ask you, who's better, Prince or Michael Jackson?
So I'm gonna put it to you like this.
You're on the fence already.
In third grade talent show, me and my best friend at the time, Pete Bill, we danced to Beat It in the third grade talent show.
Dog. Michael Jackson all day, bro. I mean, I got mad respect for Prince, but I'm Michael Jackson team.
Now, and I also went to go see MJ in concert in the third grade. My mom took us to see the concert.
Yes, I went to see him when I was like in the 7th or 6th grade in Hampton, the Hampton Coliseum. Hold on, now I got my question.
But hold on. But I have friends who live in Minnesota, and I've been to a couple of Prince shrines there. So if I had to go right now, then I'm going with the King of Pop. I'm going MJ. Okay. But Prince is right there.
Bro, you're young.
Only because I saw him in concert. If I would have seen Prince, maybe it would have been different too.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right. And I tell you what, for a while, Prince was winning with me, especially when Purple Rain came out, bro. Oh man, that was, I think, the summer going into our freshman year of college, right, Kirk? I mean, in high school, right? And I remember walking to the New Market Mall.
83, 84.
Yeah. I remember going to see that movie a bunch of times.
Purple Rain was summer of 84 also.
Summer of 84, right. Okay.
I will say when you think of classic, Billie Jean is the bomb.
Yeah.
We also said this too. Let's see if you agree with this. Off the Wall, better than Thriller.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Off the Wall.
But I will say this, the depth of Prince's music not being as poppy.
Yeah.
He's got some incredible music like Purple Rain. My favorite song off Purple Rain is Beautiful Ones. Man, that is a bad song. And that guy can play every single instrument.
That he can.
Yeah. So for me with Prince, I loved him, but I didn't realize until later, I didn't know what his songs were really talking about. I thought, he was not really talking about a little red Corvette.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
I didn't know any of what he was talking about. It was all code until I was like in college. I was like, oh, that's what he meant. Michael Jackson just, I can understand everything.
I feel you on that.
And,
okay, so here we go.
And by the way,
Tupac?
that's a good one. Hold on. 1999 was his best album.
Yeah.
Biggie or Tupac?
Biggie
easily.
Yes. Okay, great.
Biggie.
All right, good. You got great taste, bro. All right, so now movies. Are you into any do you have a favorite movie? It doesn't have to be a sports movie, or it could be a basketball movie. And then what about do you have time to stream or watch anything on Netflix or regular TV or anything? What does Coach Dunlap like to watch?
I don't really have I'll probably say I have movies that I like in different genres. I wouldn't say I have a favorite movie. Would be my go-to. Probably the movie that I've watched the most, just because when I was younger, was The Goonies.
The Goonies.
Okay.
So I've probably seen that movie. So I know I've seen it over 100 times. So that's the movie I say I've seen the most.
Right.
From a streaming standpoint, I'm big. I've been big on Peaky Blinders. Been watching that. That was pretty good.
Man, I can't keep.
You watch Ozark?
I watched Ozark. Yeah. I was on that one.
What about, is it Snowfall?
I watched the beginning of Snowfall.
Yeah.
I didn't really get into it that much.
Same here.
Is that
I was big on The Wire when it was out.
Best ever.
Yeah.
Best
ever on The Wire.
Classic.
Trying to think, there was another one.
Tiger King during COVID.
I watched the Tiger King, yeah, but I did. Did you ever see? Speaking of Tiger, his documentary that was on HBO?
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So my favorite part of that is when I can't think of his name, but he was talking about how those guys want to see what it's like to be with Tiger on a Sunday when he's in contention. And dude was like, no, you don't. I was like, that gave me chills. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, of course, The Last Dance, watched all that with MJ.
Yep.
I try to watch those. I try to watch a lot of those documentaries and stuff like that too.
I love the docs of 30 for 30. In fact, my favorite movie of all time, and I've said this before, is Hoop Dreams. All right. That to me is just, that was real. Like it was real. And so the story was the story, and it was amazing. And the guy who actually produced it, Steve James, is from Hampton.
Okay.
He played basketball at Hampton High School in the 70s, and he's the producer of the Allen Iverson 30 for 30.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So those are two of my favorites.
Yeah.
What about guilty pleasures? You like any Real Housewives, Kardashians?
Nah, I don't do any of
that. You don't like any chat?
Nah, I don't do. I can't do any of that. I can't do any of that. I'd probably say the closest thing, my kids had me watching The Circle, I think it's called, it's on Netflix. It's about they're in this different apartment building, and some people may do some catfish because you don't know who the people are, but everything is through technology, and you try to kind of like weed out who you don't want to be a part of the group anymore. They have different tasks and things of that nature that you have to do as well. So I watched that with my kids, but other than that, I can't get into no Kardashians, none of that stuff. None of that stuff.
Brion, how old are your children?
My oldest is 19, and then I have 15-year-old twins. I was about to say 14. They just turned 15 in May. I have 15-year-old twins.
All right.
Oh, cool. All right, we got one or two other ones I'd like to ask now. Is there anybody that you can text that's in your phone, and it doesn't have to be a major superstar, but just somebody either it's just personal to you or just who you think would be interested that, Brion Dunlap can pull up in his phone and text, and he'll text them right back?
You said it's not a famous person?
It can be, if you want it to be.
It can be.
We've had Deion Sanders, Allen Iverson. We've got quite a few.
That's besides my mom, and besides my kids, I'll name drop my friend Scott Burrell.
There you go. That's a good one. Yeah. Now I have people that know Kirk. He can hit up Boo Williams anytime because they both played at Phoebus. And then I just was texting Sean Moore yesterday.
Okay.
So I've had his number for a while, and we got a lot of mutual same best friends. So yeah,
Sean Moore's number, but he ain't gonna hit me back.
Yeah, so that's good stuff, and so that's good. So we got one last question for you. if you won $5 billion or was inherited, what would, because this is the thing. Remember back in the day, people say if you go out $1 million, that would change your life. Bro, $1 million ain't changing nobody's life now. Not with these gas prices, not with these house prices. So I got to put it out there for you. $5 billion, Brion, what you doing?
Well, first thing, I'm going to make sure that my mom is taken care of, family's taken care of. I'm gonna give back to the community. I would build a school that had different vocations for different things. One being like financial literacy, one being maybe a STEM type ordeal with technology, whatever is needed for the youth of today, so they can find ways of getting ahead and things that they could use. I was laughing with, it might have been my mom or my cousin not too long ago. We were talking about how we were in school, even though people don't use them as much anymore, we were taught how to write checks, just little things that were life skills.
When you go to the grocery store now and somebody has a check, they got to call the manager.
Exactly. Just little life skill, a school that would teach you about these little life skills that would prepare you, and these vocations that prepare you to be successful, right? And prepare you in other avenues, as well as give back, like I said. And then being a sports guy, I would want to own a team.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Now I'm a football guy more than I'm a basketball guy. So I would love to own an NFL football team. As much as
what's your team? What's your
Cowboys?
Favorite team?
I'm
having some technical difficulties. Sorry.
Our last episode was sorry.
You're breaking up. Breaking up. Coach Dunlap, I'm sorry.
So look. Hold on. I'm gonna put this in perspective for you. My mother was a cheerleader at Winston-Salem State. Now I'm like the redheaded stepchild because I'm the only one that didn't go to Winston, it seemed like, in my family for the most part, right? And my mother was there, and then my dad had played football there. So in the backfield was a former Cowboy that played in the backfield with him. So that was my 6 degrees of separation. And growing up in North Carolina at that time, there was no Panthers or anything. And then moving to Northern Virginia, it was really either you were a Redskin fan or Commanders fan now, or Cowboys fan, And so, and I went with the blue. I went with the star, and so yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, my thing, I would try to own the NFL, but I think I would want an NBA team just because I get tired of being outside. That's what my favorite. I'm best as a football player, but man, I ain't never. My boy said, "Why don't you referee football?" I'm like, no, man, because you start it's hot in August and then it's cold in December, man. So I want my. I would probably try to buy like the Wizards. And then I will hire Coach Dunlap to run,
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I got you, man. And I will get you and Milan, the coach, and in the front office.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And then I would probably say one of the other things I would do is I would try to help feed and find a cure for homelessness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a big piece as well. And like I said before, try to help as many kids as I possibly can. I would give the St. Jude Hospital to help those kids that they go through what they go through. I would just, truth be told, just try to get more assists. Just give it out and assist as much as I possibly can.
When you do that, you're gonna get blessed back more than whatever $5 million could ever buy you.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, Coach, I think I'm a pretty good salesperson. Your first answer should have been, I'm going to make a major improvement to Claflin's facilities, as in bro, if you got $5 billion, you can build the nicest practice facility in the history of the CIAA, about $40 or $50 million. So
I'm with you.
You tell your athletic director that I helped you out.
I'm with you. I'll make sure he knows that for sure.
Right. And then you would endow, heck, you could endow a couple hundred scholarships. But you know what's Rusty? We asked this with Jay Michelle. Was the first time we ever asked this, the $5 billion question. because we had talked off camera. I was like, I don't think this is actually a lot of fun. What about you, Rusty?
Oh, well, like I said, first, many of the same things. I would do the same. I would probably, I mean, it's like you looked at my notes, Brion, but I would open some type of school, do stuff back in Hampton Roads, specifically in Hampton. Probably name something after. My mom was a PE teacher for 30 years. Probably open some type of charter school and name it after her, because she's blessed so many people in that area. And then I would, I would give to, I'm big into homelessness. I would try to support a local church as much as I could. And then, I would want to just see how I could bless others, man, and then with hopefully the money I have left over, I'll buy, the Wizards and I'm probably get a helicopter, something like that. But so I got to get spurred on something, but yeah, I think that my main thing would be, just like seeing who I could bless, man,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's my turn.
Kirk, what about you?
I thought about this. I think, like Biggie said, no money, more problems. I think if someone plopped $5 billion in my lap tax-free, I honestly think my quality of life would go way down. I think it's too much money. I'm serious.
Well, if you don't know what to do with it,
world.
What you don't know to do with it, you can invest it into the Kirk and Byrd Show. All right.
Right. But I will say this. I would take care of people that should be taken care of.
I'm with you.
About need, because there's some people that need to be taken care of, and that's the worst thing you could do for them, right? Being set for life, a lot of people, have worked hard, but then there's other people you set them up for life and you're not doing them any favors. And by the way, that goes generation after generation. But personally, honestly, I think 30, 40, $50 million.
Yeah.
I would want a home. I like it here. I would like a nice home here. I'd like a home in the mountains, even though I've only tried skiing a few times, probably like Vail or something like that. In the Caribbean. I like the Caribbean. So 3 homes, got to have a private plane. All right. And then you got to have enough money to live. So that $50 million, you need enough money. I mean, if you're going to have maybe 75 or 100, but the rest, I would do it like you, Rusty. I would do a lot of individual gifts.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely get a plane too. I mean, I've flown.
Well, now it's really bad flying. Oh yeah. And the other thing, it would become it wouldn't be Darling Stadium anymore. It'd be Darling Stadium in the Rusty Bird Field at Darling Stadium. That's where we have the city schools play football. And I would maybe put a dome over that joint. And then it would, like right now it's called the Allen Iverson gym.
Yeah.
But floor or something, and then maybe the Rusty Bird and Allen Iverson gym. And I would definitely make over a lot of stuff there, give us crazy turf and facilities, gyms, and all that. I would definitely take care of Bethel. VCU's are already doing okay.
Oh, yeah. VCU.
But I would throw VCU some more money. I'm sorry. Oh, last thing. I would have a great NIL deal set up for VCU basketball players in Claflin after. They would be representing the Kirk and Byrd Show with dollars.
Brion, take note of this. Have Leah watch this one and notice how he's taking over half the time of my slide. So getting back, I would say this. I would like to spend probably $75 to $100 million because 3 houses, and I don't believe in 25,000 feet houses. I mean, that's ridiculous. Have a nice home where you can have guests, maybe some out of town guests, maybe 6, 7 bedrooms, but I don't need some.
You gotta have a gym, an indoor pool.
No.
And with that money,
no.
You need a gym. I'm gonna tell you.
Look, I grew up in Old Town apartments in Hampton, Virginia.
You need a gym, and I'm gonna need my own fitness trainer and my own chef.
Right.
Yeah, I'm getting a chef for sure.
But I would say this: I would love to start a foundation that concentrates on honestly macro areas, like a lot of macro areas, like for instance, simple things in the continent of Africa that's gotten better, simple vaccines that cost 50 cents, things like that. And then human trafficking has become such a huge issue across the world, different things like that. And then, Christian missions, sending people on those. So different foundations. But the plane would be cool. I'd like one that, have enough to seat 10 or 12. But I will say this, though, Rusty. For $5 billion, which I think is about what the Commanders / Redskins would go for right now. I wouldn't want to spend the whole thing, but they are a cash cow making money. That would be tempting,
It's just like you could have, if you bought like the Denver Broncos 20 years ago, like for $500 million, whatever. Like if you put that money into the Commanders in 10, 20 years, you're going to get way more of a back on your investment. And the last thing I think I just remember that I would want to do is I would join LeBron in the movie business and production. Business. So I'm gonna have the fattest crib in Hollywood. I'm gonna make all these docs. I'm gonna do the Brion Dunlap story, man. It's gonna they're gonna have me playing Chuck in the movie. Yeah, yeah. I'm producing a bunch of Netflix joints.
I left one out. Yeah. I would have a house, really nice, fat crib on the water in Hampton Roads. Definitely that. Yeah.
Oh, Hampton, for sure.
And Hampton or Newport News, because I'm not a South Side guy. Sorry. I'm not Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and all that, even though Ocean View is really nice. But I would like to have a really nice, and I said I wanted a Caribbean house, but having a place down there, even if it was like a really nice condo, would be a lot of fun. But look, Brion, it's Coach.
Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah, man. And we want to see you do well. We want to see you prosper. You're a young guy, man. You're a young guy. And, there's a lot of trends going on, with what Deion's doing at Jackson State, a lot of players, a lot of athletes are, seeing the value of HBCUs. And I think you're going to see, with what Deion's doing, a high tide raises all boats. You maybe going to be able to start getting some players, and you're playing in a great league. And we thank you for coming on here, and you represented yourself extremely well. And like we said, recruiting tool tells you what it's all about. You never know who's going to look at this, but we have a lot of fun doing this. And this is what are we at? Yep, we're just over an hour, and great way to end the night. It's the end of the quarter for me. I got 3 days, and it's all about that. So. Thanks, Coach. Rusty?
Thanks. Yeah, I just want to say, hey, man, if there's anything we can do for you, if you ever want to promote, in fact, tell us now. I mean, if there's anything you want to promote now, or you want to come back and promote, or in the season, I know you'll be busy then, but if there's anything we can do, man, for you, just let us know. Because like I said, bro, you did it in both the areas. If you look behind Kirk, we talk about being highlighting 703 and 757 sports, and bro, you dominated both areas. So thanks again for being up here, man, and best to you this season.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. I don't know if y'all are golfers, but we got a golf tournament the 7th and 8th of July. So
okay.
Anybody want to be a part, you can contact me. But nah, it's been my pleasure. I appreciate y'all having me on. I had so much fun. It was fun just sitting and just talking at barbershop talk with y'all, and it was super fun.
Real quick, we'll hit you up to see if I can't go to South Carolina that quick, but if you got a whole sponsorship or something like that, we'll hit you up.
I got you. All right.
Okay.
I appreciate y'all.
All right, man.
It's a lot of fun,
care,
man.
bro.
All right, have a good one.
Kirk Byrd Show is out.